Kangwa from Kangwa School. Welcome to another lesson in science. Last time in science we were looking at mammals. So today we are going to be looking at birds. But before we look at birds, let us do a recap of what we learned in science last time. Like I said, we were looking at mammals. We also said mammals are warm-blooded animals, meaning they produce their own heat. Mammals produce their own heat. We also looked at different types of mammals. Examples of mammals, we said humans are among mammals. We also mentioned that bats are among mammals and many more. So these are some types or some examples of mammals. We also mentioned some characteristics of mammals, where we said 1, they give birth to their young ones. 2, they feed, or should I say they breastfeed their young ones with milk and many more. So today, like I said, we are looking at birds. So can someone tell me, or can someone define the word birds? What are birds? Okay, very good. So we are saying birds are warm-blooded animals. Just like mammals, birds are also warm-blooded animals. They do not rely on the sun for their bodies to be hot or fire or anything like that. Instead, their bodies, they produce what? Its own heat. So, can we have some examples of birds? Before we look at characteristics of birds, let us look at some examples of birds that we know. Okay? So, some examples. So examples of birds. 1, a pigeon. A pigeon is an example of what? Of a bird. We also have chickens. Okay. So we say 1, we have pigeons. Pigeons are under birds. We also have chickens. We also have ducks. Apart from ducks, we have owls. Apart from an owl, we also have a hummingbird. So these are they're just some of the examples of what? Of birds. We say 1, pigeons, 2, chickens, 3, ducks, 4, owls, and 5, hummingbird. Remember, we have different types of birds, many types of birds, but these are just some of the examples of birds. Now let us look at the characteristics of birds, the characteristics or the features of birds, how they appear, how they look like. So I'm sure that we are all familiar with birds such as chicken. When you look at a chicken, how does it look like? How can you describe a chicken? Okay, so one of the characteristics of birds, or one of the features of birds, is that they have feathers. And then 2, instead of like mammals who say they give birth to their young ones, so instead of them giving birth, they lay eggs. Okay, so birds lay eggs. Apart from laying eggs, birds also, they walk on 2 feet. So birds usually walk on 2 feet. Apart from walking on 2 feet, they also use a beak. Instead of a mouth, they use a beak to eat. So these are some of the characteristics of birds. Now remember, when we say birds, usually there are 2 categories, or there are 2 types of birds. There are those birds that can fly. There are birds that can fly. Examples of birds that can fly are: an owl can fly, it can fly. A hummingbird can fly. When we look at, even a pigeon can fly. But when we look at birds such as chicken, can a chicken fly? A chicken doesn't fly. And then we also have birds such as a penguin. A penguin is also a bird, and we know to say penguins do not fly. We also have birds such as ducks. A duck is also a bird, but it cannot fly. So like I said, we have 2 categories of birds: those that can fly and those that do not fly. Okay? So let us look at this chart together. Okay, so let us look at the chart together. The chart says birds are warm-blooded animals. Birds are warm-blooded animals. Characteristics of birds, or features of birds. 1, they do not give birth to young ones. Birds do not give birth to young ones. And then 2, they lay eggs. Birds lay eggs. Number 3, they have feathers for flying. They have feathers for flying. Okay? So we go to the examples of birds. Examples of birds. Number 1, we have chickens, ducks, pigeons, eagle, ostriches, doves, and owls. These are some of the examples of birds. So to begin with, when we started with the lesson, we said, birds are warm-blooded animals. We also gave some examples of birds where we said pigeons among birds, chickens, they are among birds. We also have ducks, they are found amongst birds. We have owls, and we also have hummingbirds. All these are some examples of birds. They are some examples of birds. And remember, we said these are not only they are not the only ones, but there are many more types of birds. There are many more types of birds. We also went ahead to look at the features of birds, how birds look like, how you can identify to say this is a bird. Their characteristics. We said 1, birds have feathers. They have feathers. 2, we said birds lay eggs. They lay eggs. They do not give birth to their young ones. Instead, they lay eggs. Number 3, we said they have 2 feet. Unlike other animals which have 4 feet, or so on, but birds have 2 feet. They use 2 feet to walk. And then we also have said they use a beak to eat. They use a beak to eat. We also say there are categories of birds. There are different types of birds. Or we say birds are actually categorized into 2 groups. We said the first group are for those birds that fly. The birds that fly. We even gave some examples where we said a pigeon can fly. A pigeon can fly. We also said an owl can fly. A hummingbird can fly. But we also have another category of birds that do not fly. Birds that do not fly. We gave some examples. We said chickens. We all know a chicken, and we have seen say a chicken cannot fly. We also have ducks. Ducks, we know very well to say they do not fly. We also have birds such as penguins. Those kind of birds do not fly. Okay? What I want us to do is, I want us to do an activity or an exercise together. We are going to do an activity on the same topic we have been looking at together. Okay? So I want us to do this activity together. Let us go through the activity. Number one, what are birds? So I want you to tell me what birds are. What are birds? And then number two, mention 4 characteristics of birds. Mention 4 characteristics of birds. Remember, we looked at different characteristics or different features of birds. So what I want you to do is, from the characteristics or from the features that we mentioned, you should write 4. You mention 4 characteristics of birds. Number 3, state 2 examples of birds. State 2 examples of birds. So from the many examples of birds that we have, you should just state at least 2 examples of birds. Okay? Thank you very much. My name is Mrs. Kangwa, and I was presenting a grade 3 lesson in science.